Good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and as you know, I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. And this show was brought or put together for my listening and viewing audience by none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., who is also the director, the producer. We argue over the issue to be presented. And then the long and the short of it, she's also the boss and she's my wife. I'm just an urban translator. But we got a very important show for you today. And the theme of it, he's going to tell you about the theme that we came up with. But one of the most important things with this Passover about to end, new president coming into office, people talking about they need a new speaker in the state of Illinois House. Everyone needs to be accountable before they come back to us and tell us that they are electable. That'd be from the mayor, the county board president, the governor, you name them all. Without further ado, and right after I say, to God be the glory, I want this brother, Dave, will you come in and tell them who you are so they'll know your story?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, first and foremost, for the privilege, the opportunity, uh, and the right to come on this show and express my freedom of speech and my concerns. I appreciate you for the platform. I appreciate you for the guidance, the mentorship, and I appreciate you for the sense of urgency of having me get on here. As you can see, I'm in a car right now moving around, but I understood that this was such a sense of urgency that it didn't
Right.
need to be perfect. It just needed to be present in position.
Correct.
So, by way of introduction, my name is David A. Peterson Jr. I'm president and executive director of the National A. Philip Pullman Porter Museum, founder and director of operations and president of Randolph's Dream Community Development Corporation, and a public servant, if you will, a social scientist of the urban community.
You know, one of the things, Dave, explain to them, in my opinion, the most important thing is that you are the only president that's an African American male over a museum that deals with the contributions that black laborers, all the way back from A. Philip Randolph. Explain that to my viewing audience because we want to give them the significance
Sure,
of the
sure.
understanding of the culture of you being who you are and molding yourself at pretty much the direction of your mother, letting her know the type of men that she analyzed and understood they struggled all the way to the way that you dress and how you carry yourself gone, especially during this global pandemic and especially after this election. I ain't knocking the sisters. I'm with the sisters. I'm behind the sisters 100%. But I'm tired of the Euro Gentiles giving the impression like black men are not making a contribution to the society. Tell them about the museum, man, and who you are.
Absolutely. The National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum is the world's first and only Black labor history museum that honors the contributions of African Americans to labor history. We're independently owned and operated and not grant dependent on city, state, or federal funds. So what that means is we're not a line item in the city, state, or county budget,
Or federal
as
budget.
most or federal budget, as pretty much all museums are. There's a lot of literature going out now about museums not having funding and it being a hard time. Well, that's been our narrative for the last 25 years that we've been in existence. February 25th, 1995, Dr. Lynn Hughes, a single black female, founded this museum in the heart of a very misogynistic time. She was very blessed to have several men around her who did support her, but there were even more that were against her.
That's right.
With that being said, she stood there and took that fight for a long time. So for me, that's why it's a privilege and an honor to step into this space, because while I am a black man, I understand that I was empowered by a black woman. Just like I entered this world through a black woman. You know what I
Right.
mean? So for me, misogyny has never been a part of my toolkit, if you will. And I think that that's important because we're in a time now where people are painting these narratives where they're trying to pit each other against each other. And that's unfortunate because in our community, the family is the most important thing. There is not one without the other. We coexist. Just as A. Philip Randolph and the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters understood they had to coexist with women during the time of the organizing, because they were the first one to uplift the sisters with the women's auxiliary. They were the first ones to kind of uplift the sisters with allowing the sisters to be in the union. Originally, it was called the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, Dining Car Waiters, and Maids. So a lot of these things, that are now so commonly and affectionately talked about in our community weren't even issues for the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, and that's why they were successful in organizing and successful in handcrafting the civil rights movement. Moving fast forward where we are today, it's important that we continue to acknowledge, this story and their contributions, because once again, they are the forefathers of the proofs of concept of effective leadership, organizing, um, and just organizing just in general around all of these different efforts. So it's important that we refer back to their proof of concept because they were the ones that actually got the work done,
Right. And including the March on Washington, Martin
including
Luther
the March on
King.
Washington, but
It,
but ending with the March on Washington. We
right.
started we started with the Montgomery bus boy. We started with the first March on Washington in 1941 for jobs,
Right.
which then turned into an executive order 8802, which banned all discriminatory practices in the armed forces and work-related fields. That's important to say because what happened was we see a proof of concept of what organizing and negotiation lead to. It led to a measurable outcome, something that's tangible, something that we can refer back to. Then moving fast forward to the Montgomery bus boycott, where Rosa Parks, was the person who was hand picked to be on that. But that boycott was organized by the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the local president of the NAACP, and the representative of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters in Montgomery, Alabama, was E.D. Nixon, who was former Pullman Porter and the representative of the union in that state. So it's important that we tie all of these things together because we don't want to seem as if we represent a legacy of pontificators that then fast forwards to why it's important that we move the way that we do. We don't like to step into spaces and talk about things that we think might be happening or talk about what somebody else ain't doing or this or that and this. We like to come in very, very firmly positioned and focused and say, look, these are the things that need to be done. This is how we'll get them done. And these will be the measurable outcomes that come from getting them done.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that because you and Ms. Holmes was very instrumental in helping, because you in the Pullman district, West Pullman, okay?
No, historic Pullman, not West
The
Pullman.
historic, that's what I'm talking. I'm getting right at the historic piece because
Okay.
you were the one along with the mom and everyone else, myself and others, helped make it become a part of the National Park Museum type of thing, whatever this is. I'm trying to get together. You know what I'm saying? The reason
Absolutely.
that was President Barack Obama, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That made this where the area where your museum is at.
Mm-hmm.
He was instrumental in helping them to make that area a part of the National Park District or something like that.
And very specifically, what happened was the director of the National Park Service came to Chicago because he had been commissioned, to come here to kind of do some research.
Mm-hmm.
When he came here, what he said verbatim from his mouth, not what somebody told us, but what he said verbatim was what the National Park Service has is all of these different things, but what we don't have is the Black labor history story. If you guys can show us the Black labor history story in this district, then we'll consider adding this to our inventory. Once again, because for the last 25 years, almost 26 now, we've been the only ones in the world that have exclusively carved out, protected, and interpreted this specific story set. It was only fitting that we would become a part of that. Now, beyond that, it helped that we had very strong partners that also helped accentuate the entire story of historic Pullman,
Mm-hmm.
the immigrant story, the union story, just the organizing story, all of those different things. Not just A. Philip Randolph, but Eugene Debs. Some of the other organizers that helped organize the strike in 1864. So Pullman has a very, very strong history in terms of labor. This is actually the place where Labor Day was created.
Right.
If people don't know, right here in Chicago, right in the Pullman district. So this is important, but it's important to say that that is the specific reason why Dr. John Jarvis decided that this was an important story to preserve. After that, what happened was a 2 to 3 year advocacy campaign for collectively the partners of Pullman who told their own specific story sets to come together and say we're going to commission for this to be a national park service. We have received bipartisan support for that effort, but when Rahm Emanuel was in the runoff, Barack Obama came to Chicago and then said, you know what, I'm going to use my executive authority to sign an executive order to fast track this thing and make it a national monument district under the National Park Service. So that then turned into February 15th, 2015. It might have been the 19th. Forget my date if I'm off. But that then turned into him coming to Gwendolyn Brooks, right in the Roseland community, and stating that from now on, Pullman will be Chicago's first and only National Park Service site from 103rd or 115th Street, Cottage Grove, to the Bishop Ford Expressway. And during that same speech, he also let everybody know that Michelle Obama, his wife's grandfather, was a Pullman Porter. So she herself is a descendant of a Pullman Porter, of which we have a descendants registry of over 10,000 registries.
Wow.
So it was a historic time. It was a great time, but behind the scenes, it was a hurtful time.
Right.
It was a hurtful time for us as the organization that has protected this story for so long, to have to literally sit out in the crowd and watch this happen, while we watch people who had nothing to do with that process sit on the stage with the president, be lifted up as areas and sites of concern, while ours was just withered away in the sideline.
Right.
In the executive order that was signed by President Barack Obama, there were other sites that were named in that executive order. Our site was the only site that was not named specifically by site name. However, the story setting, the content of the story, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, A. Philip Randolph, the Pullman Porters, was mentioned. But once again, the only reason that story is brought to light in the historic district of Pullman was because we brought it to life in 1995. Because prior to that portion of the story was not told or highlighted. So it was a slap in the face, to not only see this gentleman that I looked up to, I idolized, I named our youth and young adult program after, and someone that I was just genuinely proud to. I went to the same elementary school as his children. Yeah. I had my 8th grade graduation party directly across the street from his school. I went to martial arts and tutoring and summer camp over at the Jewish Community Center right across the street from his house. So this is a fellow Hyde Park. I went to Lab School, Ray School, Kenwood, right down the street from his high school, and
Yeah, like we lost him. He'll come back. But the thing that's important and that's key, we have a little technical difficulty right now, he'll be back on, is that he didn't get mad. He stayed purposefully focused. Okay? And he went on to make it do what it do. And that's the history of it. And once we get through this technical difficulty, he's going to come back on and he's going to share with you, my listening audience, this proposal that President Biden and Vice President Harris and those in Washington and our congressional leaders here and our senatorial leaders here need to make sure that this proposal get to the president who once was the vice president. There's a lot of things that's happening that we as a people got to hold those that are elected and appointed to office. We got to hold them accountable before they come back to us and tell us that they are electable and to get people to come in and vote for them to be reelected back to office. One of the things that's key as I read the paper, everybody putting emphasis on who's going to be the next House Speaker and who's going to be able to make the decision because they think Madigan should resign from being the Speaker because what's happening in ComEd, even though Madigan didn't commit a crime. Even Lori Lightfoot says our democracy depends upon the people believing that the leaders stand for them. And if you got a cloud over your head, that means that you done something wrong. Well, everybody got a cloud over their head. Her, the governor got a cloud over his head. I remember the cloud he had over his head when he was running for the governor was because he talked on the phone with former Governor Bogorovich, who ended up being the governor that got pardoned by Trump because he felt that a good man, talking about Governor J.B. Pritzker, felt that a good man that everyone loved could have made a great senator. And everybody loved this man because the last election, he got more votes than anybody in Illinois, even the governor. I'm talking about Jesse White. He ended up getting 3 million votes. But we stood up with J.B. Pritzker and said that cloud that he had over his head shouldn't dictate whether or not he would be a good governor. Well, he got elected. And now we got to hold him accountable before he come back and say re-elect him because he's electable. What do you mean by that, Gator? With this pandemic, this global pandemic known as COVID, happening, and every time you see it around the country and around the world, people are dying every day in the thousands, sometimes in the tens of thousands. People are dying in the hundreds, just here in Illinois. People and workers are being infected with the COVID-19 and are dying in the nursing homes because of bad nursing homes that's willfully being neglectful and abusive. Before the COVID come in 2020. Yet there's a law on the books. It's called the Nursing Home Care Act, Section 8, where if the nursing homes are not in compliance, that law, if it's enforced, and it needs to be enforced, because the governor has the power to enforce it. He tried to get back on. I don't know. Yeah, he's trying to come back on. Anyway, what has happened is because the governor is not enforcing this law, and he knows those nursing homes are bad nursing homes. And all the stories that they hit the newspaper about in 2018 I see you got to turn it around a little bit, Dave. They about to bring you in.
Okay.
Okay. When the governor in 2018, from what I read in the Sun-Times story, give $200+ million to nursing homes that he knew weren't in compliance. He had them on their list. That makes him accountable. When the governor submits a letter to the media and let it be known that the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health has gotten rid of individuals in that department because they weren't answering the complaints. When you see all these nursing homes and the deaths of residents and employees in them nursing homes, and the governor do not enforce an Illinois law, let me make it plain to you. They say Trump is responsible because he was the president and he knew about the coronavirus and he didn't tell anyone, he didn't do nothing. So everybody gets sick, everybody that's died, it's because of him. Because he's the president of this country. Where governors are just like presidents. Because they're over everything that's happening in Illinois. Public health, public safety. And when he don't enforce a law to check bad nursing homes, and people are dying that work in the nursing homes, and residents are dying at the nursing home, he is accountable, like the president is accountable and responsible. Is that old saying? Don't point a finger at someone else without realizing that there's 3 fingers and a thumb pointing back at you. When we see, and we're going to get back with Dave because that's why he's on here, to show you what he's doing. Got proposals. Then heard the mayor say, we need someone to come with a proposal to do all this. Hear the governor say, we need a proposal to come and do all this. And every time a black man bring a proposal, after those in leadership ask for the proposals, they show no accountability, and they point fingers at everybody else when there's no solutions to their problems, instead of putting that thumb and 3 fingers dead on them. You're accountable and you're responsible. So, Governor, enforce that nursing home care act so that all the state's attorneys in the 100+ counties in Illinois can do their job, and the attorney general can do his job. Because if you don't enforce that law, you got their hands tied where they can't do their job against bad nursing homes, especially with the vaccines getting ready to come to the state up under your leadership. And if you ain't got a check and balance and ain't got that law enforced to make bad nursing homes do right, we gonna have a real dilemma in the state of Illinois, and it ain't gonna be because of Trump. And I want to say this, and I'm going back to Dave. I'm true blue. So for all of y'all to say Gator, a Trump guy, he mad at the governor because he's not a part of the administration. Well, let me tell you something. If I was a part of his administration, I would be known as a whistleblower because of what I'm seeing that's happening in them nursing homes. And he is not enforcing the law. Not reading a proposal. I'm talking about enforcing the law. You can't give away taxpayers' dollars in the tone of $200+ million to bad nursing homes that's doing wrong, and then try to push an executive order saying they shouldn't be held liable. Brother David,
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes, sir.
glad
And
you
please
back.
pardon me for the technical difficulty.
Okay.
But I was basically just saying, like during that time, it was just disappointing to know that someone that we had looked up to so greatly, um, basically just flat out ignored us. When I came to that event, what we did was we actually I went and got a printed out a Gentle Warrior Award for him. You know, because you were a
Right.
recipient of that Change Agent Award at our annual banquet,
Right.
and I got that for him. I got that for him, made so that we could let him know how much we appreciated him doing what he did in terms of signing this executive order.
Right.
I mean, till this day, we never even got acknowledgement that they received it, even though the staff had said, okay, yeah, we'll get it. And it was just, for us, money's not easy to come by. Once again, we're not funded by grants or anything like that. So when we spend $20 to $30 or $100 or whatever it is on something, we take it seriously.
Right.
So it was offensive. Just like me spending $40 at Kinko's to get a proposal bound and printed so that I could present it at the city budget meeting, over at Lindblom, and that's where I met the deputy mayor Samir Mayakar.
Right.
That's his last name. And that's where I met him, and I had a great conversation with him. He seemed like he'd potentially be interested in what we were talking about, and I handed him this because I didn't want to be someone else in the crowd just being cynical, talking about what the city ain't gonna do and this and that and this. And I wanted to be someone that would be taken serious. So I prepared to come to that meeting so that when I had that opportunity to engage anyone from the staff, I could hand them something that would at the very least say to them, this young man takes this stuff seriously. At the very least, let's just sit down and have a conversation with him. Let's have a meeting for him. Till this date, I haven't even gotten the professional courtesy of a response yet. However, I have a lot of friends who are in the activist community, and just last week they got an emergency text message saying, we're having an emergency meeting for all activists next week. You know what I mean? And for me, it's a slap in the face. It's like, well, what is it that I am doing wrong? So for me, during coronavirus, having to spend much more time alone, as instinctively an overthinker, it's caused a great deal of anxiety for me because, in 1999, many people don't know, but my house was firebombed.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, there was an attempt made on my family's life, and I almost died from arson. A few months later, by the grace of God, and I lived, and I was able to go away to school in Florida. I
Mm-hmm.
got to Florida A&M University. I majored in political science because I vowed that when I went away, I wanted to come back a better man than I was when I left. And I wanted to learn everything that I would need to learn in order to better my community the right way. You know what I mean? I came back, went to graduate school at DePaul University. I came back and I volunteered at an ex-offender reentry program in the Grand Boulevard neighborhood on 47th Street. I did my job. I did my work. I did my volunteering. I did my civic duty to the city, state, and the country. And I did the proper preparation that it
Mm-hmm.
took in order to be a viable voice in this space. So to be consistently ignored, it brings about a certain level of anxiety and depression. What is it that I'm doing wrong? What am I doing wrong that yields me such great disrespect? Why is it that when I go to these town hall meetings and I'm trying to speak with people, they're just smiling in my face and saying, yes, yes, okay, yeah, we'll have a meeting with you. And then when I watch them go on the news, they talk about these solutions that they're looking for that they don't have. Why is it that after I have taken the time to prepare properly to be a person at this table who has some words that make sense? Once again, I'm sitting at the table with people who don't have
No plan, no nothing.
yeah, no plans, don't have the very frankly the educational background that I do. I didn't just pop up and say this is what I want to do. I messed my credit up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Going to an institution of higher learning to learn how to do this stuff. Went to the finest schools to learn how to do this stuff. I have proof of concept over a decade of practitionership, which at the once again the very least would yield me a seat at the table to have a conversation about these issues. Then when I get to the conversation, and then everyone who's facilitating the conversation is saying stuff that I know is wrong, and I have to sit there and take it. You know how frustrating it is to be at these conversations and people talk about all of these research plans that need to be done and reconnaissance and all of this. And I know that I have the wherewithal in order to do that, but I'm the one who's not compensated when in all actuality, I'm the one that needs it most.
Right.
These people wouldn't even be at the table if it were not for a position, if it were not for a paycheck, while I've been doing this free for the last 2 decades. You know what I mean? So it's frustrating, and very frankly, just last week, After watching the media talking about this budget and this and that and this and that,
Right.
I just got so frustrated that it really just broke me down.
I'm
And I
glad you
said, you
reached
know
out.
what? I don't know what else to do at this point. I've been diplomatic. I speak to these people every time I see them in a very, very respectful manner. I've been more than professional in these spaces. I have not done a lot of the hemming and hawing that I could have done on these public platforms. But it's just like at this point, I don't know what I need to do in order to get their attention. So what I've done is I've created a sound the alarm campaign. Listen,
Right.
for anybody who's willing to listen, we are
Right.
sounding the alarm. This is a state of emergency. This is a state of emergency. There is money being poured into my community by the hundreds of millions that we don't see a cent from.
That's right.
There's every time I look on the on the media, they're talking about all the great things going on in the neighborhood, and that's fine, right? But then when I step out into my community on my side of the track, there's a gang war going on.
That's
There's
right.
young men shooting at each other every other night for months. You know what I mean? For whatever the stupid reason is, which makes my job hard because I employ 20 to 30 kids in that neighborhood. So now I have to worry about the well-being of not only myself, but those young men and women that I mentor. You know, is it going to be safe for them? Is it going to be safe for the elders that I provide food for when we have community giveaways and things of that nature? Is it going to be safe for them? You know what I mean? So after a while, this just becomes so frustrating, and I just really don't know what to do, and I don't understand what it is we're doing wrong, because what it seems as if is happening is there's retaliatory actions being taken by people that we've trusted to be our elected officials.
That's right.
I don't know if it's
That's right.
what's even more frustrating is I genuinely don't think that is them, the elected officials themselves. What I think that it is they're negligent staffers and those people in between them and us, the constituents, that make the determinant factor themselves if this is a viable topic.
You talking the
Is this
gatekeepers?
important enough?
You talking the gatekeepers?
I'm talking about the gatekeepers. It's time for someone to blow the whistle on them,
Right.
because I'm sure that they have offices filled with proposals that haven't even been presented to these elected officials.
But you know, David.
You know, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
But you can't. You can't. I go through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even with you know all the individuals I done helped to get in the office and everything and all that.
Absolutely, and been ridiculed
They
by
know,
their own community
right?
For doing so.
Hey man, those elected officials, from the governor to the mayor to the county board president to the congressman to the alderman to the commissioners, they know, they getting it. You follow what I'm saying? They move is, this is my opinion and I'm standing on it. They play the black drop game with us. Well, just go find somebody black and put them down. And they can't say we're not listening to David or Gator because they black. We got somebody black here.
Right.
Okay? But that proposal that you got, when I saw your post, and you know this how we do. We take the time to look and listen and learn from everyone. We don't take Facebook or the TikTok as just some, we hear individuals calling out. You calling out. I done seen you at them events. They keep going and hire individuals or bring someone in town to be over programs where they got tens of millions of dollars that's supposed to be put out for individuals to have proposals. And the individuals that they bring in to put over them programs, they may end up making six-figure salaries. And then all of a sudden they disappear. You follow what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Why everybody worried about who gonna be over the leadership of Madigan? Well, who gonna be the senator if Duckworth become a part of the administration? You follow what I'm saying? Who gonna be, I'm saying that to say this. Is it gonna be another senator that's gonna be out of reach or out of touch to hear the proposal that you got that I know that Biden them is looking for? Okay, I know, and I'm gonna tell you this on my show. from my mouth to everybody's ears, I'm going to aid and assist you in what you're trying to do. Because one of the things I do know by the grace of God, just like you know by the grace of God of what you do, he give us the wherewithal to do what people are asking. And he sets the prescribed time for those to get the message. I ain't no preacher. But every time I read the book, I'm reading somewhere where people or preachers be telling me, well, no, they know nothing about a nail in a hammer or how to build a boat.
Yeah. And beyond that, there's a very, very strong sense of classism going on. It's 2021.
Right.
We have to move beyond this whole black-white piece, as
right.
if we all speak in a monolith. You know what I mean? There are people in our community who look down on lower class, lower income individuals benefiting from the system in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I say that to say because we're always invited to come to the table to give our ideas. Everyone wants to invite us to these round tables to pick our brain. But the person that's facilitating that meeting is getting paid.
Right.
The person that goes out and does the research is getting paid. The
Right.
person that's providing this research that they get from doing round tables and asset mapping activities with us is getting paid. Now, when we come time to ask the people, and many times who are holding the money that look like us,
yeah.
Okay, well, hey, what is there a stipend for us? Is there anything like this? Then everybody's now the energy is tense in the room. Well, I mean, I thought you were doing this for the community and this and that. Well, yes, we are, but in a time where there's a global pandemic,
but they're not doing it for the community.
Is through the roof. Unemployment is through the roof. You know what I mean? Job creation is low. Why are you expecting people who are already living in poverty to do work for free? It's just unfair, it's inhumane, and it's unkind, just at the very, very, very essence of things. In undergraduate school, when you're going through your electives, some of the very first class they have you take is ethics.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where you learn about why things should be done a certain way, why things should not be done, why things should not be said. You know what I mean? My last class in undergrad was budget and fiscal management, where I was afforded the luxury to learn how to comb through budgets.
Mm-hmm.
And in that post that I tagged you in, I went through an example of that, where I combed through that city budget and by specific line item and page number.
Mm-hmm.
I went down and broke down where there was money to do the type of economic development projects that needed to be done throughout the entire city. Once again, it was completely ignored. However, I see people from these different offices come to the community and take pictures,
mm-hmm.
and come out and dance and sing and all of these symbolic things, right? But when it's time for actionable items, everyone's too busy. Oh, I'm going to have somebody get back to you. I have somebody get back to you, right? So I'm a young man. I don't have staff, and I have to do all types of things. So I'm trying to figure out, why is it that people that are paid high salaries, who have staffers, who also get a living wage job, why is it so hard for you guys to just at the very minimum convene meetings? We're in the age of Zoom. I pulled over the car to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no excuse at this point. There is no excuse at this point, other than there's some sort of retaliatory action being implemented for something that was said, or they went and looked at who you voted for and they didn't like that or something.
But
you know what I mean?
But I'm with you on, but the thing is this. That's why when you shared it with me, I believe in this. Because we in the age of Zoom, make no mistake. And you know what I love about the Zoom? It make it where you can't help but be transparent.
That's right.
You can no longer have the secret meetings. When you come out and you say something out your mouth, you got to be about it, because we in the age of what I call verifiables.
That's right. These are the types of things that I'm talking about in terms of slaps in the face, right? I got an anonymous call from the mayor's office to find out if I wanted to participate in distributing masks for the city of Chicago. The young lady called me back at least 2 to 3 times that day, saying, we need you to hurry up and create an Excel spreadsheet with letting us know the different organizations you're going to work with, how many people are going to get the masks, all this. I mean, asked me to do this in a matter of 20 to 48 hours, randomly called me, then said, we need you to come to the United Center to pick them up. Didn't ask him, then say, do you need a gas stipend to get down here? Then
Right.
say, hey, we'll have somebody from the city of Chicago come bring them to you. No, take your own resources, stop your work day, come over here, pick up boxes of masks, bring them back to your site and distribute them for us for free. And beyond that, go do an Excel spreadsheet and then give it to us so we don't have to do any work. You know what I mean? So me being the natural humanitarian I did it. I went and commissioned one of my community members who volunteers with us at the museum to go down there and stop his work day, who also is a city worker, very frankly, a truck driver for the city. Stopped his work day, got in his own vehicle. We went down there together, took him back to the museum and began to distribute them immediately. You know, all this going on during the pandemic. On our website, on our Facebook page right now, you can go to our page and you can see our impact report that we put out. We've passed out 10,000 masks for the city of Chicago. We've employed 5 temporary employees with the Department of Human Services through one of their temporary programs, of which we're not getting paid to do so. We're just a facilitation site. We employed youth for the One Summer Chicago program. Once again, another city initiative. But every single time that the city of Chicago's office, the mayor's office, comes to Pullman, they never once come to the first and only Black Labor History Museum in the city of Chicago, located in an educational ecosystem directly across the street from 2 high schools. Also directly across the street from a 210 unit low income housing building. So we're right here in the middle of all of the people that need to be serviced, but we can't even get someone to come and stand in solidarity with us and say, you know what, we support what it is that you guys are doing. How can we help increase what you guys are doing? No, what they do is they focus on the commercial end of what's going on. You know what I mean? Then I have to hear the backup. I have to hear the people that went and worked some of the local factories say, yeah, you know, they fired me, you know, and they're hiring other people now from outside of the community. Or hey, I've been trying to put an application in to go work at this factory and nobody responded to me. What do you know about it? We see you promoting this stuff because of course,
right.
as someone who plays nice in the sandbox with everybody, you know what I mean? I'm trying to save face for the entire initiative because I see the greater good. I operate with the bigger man theory. It's not if I get it done, it's if it gets done. That's the most important thing. Are we carving out the cultural identity of our community? Are we making sure that there are resources there so that 10 years down the line, young Black men and women who live in this predominantly Black census tract can have a job to you know, give themselves a livable wage? So all of these types of things add to this toolkit, if you will, of frustration that we're forced to face on a day-to-day basis, and we're expected to do this with a straight face. You know what I mean? And it's just upsetting. It's frustrating, and I just don't know what to do at this point.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've tried everything. I have several mentors that tell me, you know, just stand firm. You know, do the right thing. You're doing the right thing, and I feel as if I'm doing the right thing. But every time I look up, someone else is getting highlighted who's not doing a smidget of what it is that we're doing. Someone else is getting offered resources who's not offering a smidget of what it is we're doing. So I just don't know what to do.
You know, well, I put it this way. You let it be known what you're doing and the power of what we're doing. You're going to see what I'm telling you. Because I'm 68, man. I watched your growth and development. I've been there. I watched it. Know about the firebomb. Know everything. Seen how you had over the 20-some plus years. At the same time I was doing the United Peace Inc. When we tried to put this thing together where Waka Flocka wanted to come in and do a concert to stop the violence. And they gave us hell because he wanted to come in and do a concert to stop the violence. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
it wasn't no money from them. He was going to do it free. The thing becomes, those of us that take it upon ourselves to make it do what it do because we know it has to be done, they got a problem with it because we able to do it without the resources. And when we hear that you got the resources, give them to us so that we can be 10 times as down. And my thing is this, brother. Like I asked you when I talked to you. This so they can see you. Know you. They ain't hearing it from me as a third person. You follow what I'm saying? And believe me,
Mm-hmm.
our reach is way far. I don't want to say dangerous because if you talk without your mask, they say 6 feet is a danger zone.
That's
You
right.
follow what I'm saying?
And I just want to make this known as well. This is not coming. This is not a conversation coming from someone who's not prepared to do it without.
Right.
Because we've done
We
it
done
without
it. We doing it.
the help. We're doing it without, right? This isn't coming from someone who doesn't have the capacity to handle the resource. Our books are tight,
Right.
okay? I have the credit score personally and as business that we need in order to receive any type of funding or loans or whatever it is that we might need. We have the land already. We have the building already. This isn't this none of this stuff is conceptual. You know what I mean? This stuff is in place right now. We just need supplemental help.
Right.
We're not asking anybody to come in and save us or anything like that. We just want to know, why is it that you guys are having these conversations at the table that affect all of our people, and we're not there to help? I came to this table to help. I brought something to the potluck.
Right.
I didn't just bring plasticware and paper plates and say, okay, well, here I came to get something to eat. No, I brought 2 and 3 dishes and said, look, let's have a meal together. You know what I mean? I sat on the stage with Prince Harry and Melody Hobson, one of the most powerful women
Right.
in the
That's right.
world,
That's right. That's right.
and had a conversation where I made it very, very clear what could and should be done. While Barack Obama and his lovely first lady were in that crowd, everyone around the world heard this conversation.
Yeah.
Not one follow-up conversation. Not one follow-up call. You know what, young man, we heard what you were talking about on that stage. How can we help you? What is it that you need? I haven't had one of those conversations. I know when I hear my young mentees around the neighborhood, one of them called me and said, "Man, I have them call me Baba David. You know, I'm a very, very Afrocentric gentleman, and in our African community, we call our mentors and father figures Baba.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what my mentors had me call them,
That's right.
and that's what I have my mentees call me. They say, Baba Dave, you know, man, I'm messed up out here. Like, what do I do? You got anything that I could do? You know what I mean? That I to, you know, keep me busy. You know what I mean? So luckily, I have an amazing relationship with the Far South Chicago Council with Joyce Chapman, and we're doing a
Mm-hmm.
quality of life plan
Mm-hmm.
with Liz. And you know, if it wasn't for people like her, like yourself, who consistently keep me busy,
That's
you
right.
know what I mean, with productive things, this energy could turn into something completely different. So it feels good to be able to say, you know what, hey, I'm having some issues with some of my young men. What can I do? She says, you know what, David, don't worry. Let me get you on the phone with Phalanx, and we'll see what we can do.
Right.
And
That's
they
right.
say, okay, you know what, we can come up with a youth stipend for this young man to do something. That is the type of work that I need from the city, state, and government, and federal government.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of you know, interfering that we need. That intergovernmental matriculation type of stuff that we need going on, because we have what it takes. We have the accreditation. Our museum was founded by Dr. Lynn Hughes,
That's right.
not just Lynn Hughes, Dr. Lynn Hughes, a PhD in cultural policy. She's done the work.
That's right.
She's done the work to be accredited, to be able to say this is what it should be done. We've created global impact for cultural economic development. We bring people from around the world to the far south side of Chicago, to the
Mm-hmm.
ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To come learn about Black labor history. We already have done that. I have the receipts to show it. I have the video receipts to show it. People from all different walks of life, all different cultures, all different countries, coming right to 104th and Maryland to say, we want to learn, teach us. What is it that we're doing wrong that in our own community, our elected officials who ran on transparency,
That's
who
right.
ran on, we want to help those who need to be helped? What is it that we're doing wrong that we can't even get their attention? Every time we look up, there's another fund that's coming out. There was a neighborhood opportunity fund. We apply for that. They say, well, you're not in the commercial corridor. Well, the commercial corridor isn't poverty strict.
Right.
The commercial corridor isn't directly, literally across to the point where I can hear conversations coming out of people's windows when the windows are up when it's hot outside. It's not that close to a 210 unit low income building. It's not directly across the street from a high school where there are hundreds of young men and women going to school on a day-to-day basis. That proximity isn't there. If there's any opportunity area, it is our area.
That's right.
We're in the educational ecosystem. We're around the poverty-stricken people. We're the ones who are servicing these people when it's time for the holidays and they can't go get toys and food. We're the ones standing in the gap. saying, here, we'll have a turkey giveaway, we'll have a food box giveaway, we'll have a toy giveaway. We're the people doing that. And we collaborate with all of the different surrounding organizations who are willing to work with us. We've always been team players. But once again, there are certain individuals, I don't know what they are, who they are, what their agenda is, but their agenda has been clearly to ostracize us
That's right.
from what's going on. And,
That's right.
what's happening is, by them doing that, they're ostracizing themselves from the solution because they don't know what's in our mind. They can try to take it and circumvent us,
but they can't do it.
But you can't do it the same way. So now when we present it, now you're trying to hide it because you're saying there's no solution, and we're saying, hello, there is a solution. Here it is. Now if you expose that we do have a solution, now what's going to happen is you look incompetent. And from the beginning, we never wanted that to happen. On the video, once again, that I showed you, I said very, very specifically and verbatim that what I wanted to do was make sure that we made this transition easy for the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not afforded the luxury of time of pointing fingers at people and blaming people.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about them. This isn't about us. This is about us facilitating an environment where our communities can flourish, where our communities can be, for people in our communities can rise above the things that they're going through. That's the most important thing. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing for the quality of life in these communities, for these young kids and elders in our community to be better than it was 10 years ago. That's what it's about. This isn't about what problem you had with me for 10 years ago.
Right.
If you don't like the person that I was campaigning for, or I supported somebody who ran against you, maybe I saw something in them that was a little different than you. But be that as it may, if you're in that position, this isn't your position.
That's right.
This is the people's position.
That's
right. This is the people's prerogative.
You know, I'm glad. You know what I mean? I'm glad you said it because, you know, the thing that I found out, because I've been in your space several times, so, you know, it's hey, man, believe me, it's like a suit. Get dirty, I just take it off. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that to say we don't give up. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
The thing is, I have found out a lot of those that are elected to those positions are only in the mindset that it's a job for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
That's right.
They have the resources and don't know what to do with the resources. I'm telling you, man. And so I've learned that, okay, we don't want Gator to be about stopping the violence when I got a track record of knowing how to stop the violence.
Right.
But I don't get mad.
What's disappointing about that?
Right.
What's disappointing about that entire concept and that entire notion, what you just said, was that's the ideology, right?
Yeah.
What they don't know is after the lights and camera go off, after the interviews are off, we have to go back into the community and stand among these people that need the help. We're not making this up. You can ostracize us and try to circumvent us and go get somebody else to do it and all that, right? But we have to go stand next to these people. We have to go stand next to people. Across the street, when I got back from Florida A&M University in 2007, there was one of the first young men that I had an opportunity to work with and get a job working there in our reentry program. Was a young man that was murdered across the street in broad daylight from the office, shot down right across the street from the office. In broad daylight on 47th Street.
That's right.
We talk about mental health and all this. Do you all understand what that does to someone like me? Do you all understand the trauma that comes from that? From knowing, okay, look, this is a young man that you really tried to help save his life. And this young man still fell victim to the street.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand. They don't take that into consideration. They don't take it into consideration to know what it's like to watch a 75-year-old woman struggle to just have her likeness accepted and appreciated and honored in a space of appropriation.
That's right.
Everybody wants to talk about the Pullman Porters now.
That's right. That's right.
It was
I know, man.
It was a time when in that community where people commissioned and signed petitions to not even have the northern end of Pullman included into the historic district.
Right, listen.
Even though the U.S. Department of Interior designated that entire area as the historic district of Pullman. So then they come back and say, okay, well, I guess they can be a part of it. We'll call them North Pullman. These are the conversations that people who are ostracizing us from these conversations don't get to see. They don't get to hear that because as a professional man, someone who prides himself on not piercing the corporate veil, I always have to wear the face. I have to wear the mask all of the time, right? And then as soon as I take the mask off, I got to go outside and see my young brother, some of my young brothers in the neighborhood who I've known 20, 30 years, who grown up in this lifestyle. And I've always been the one that had just a little bit more, not in terms of monetary, but in terms of access. I was always the one in the community that got to go to a after school program up north somewhere, or got to go to school in Hyde Park. So when I come back socially, I'm in a different space than my friend. And I've always been the one that has tried to help empower them. Now that I'm older, now that I'm in a professional space, it's frustrating to know that there are things that can be done in a very lateral manner that can change the trajectory of their entire life, and I can't even do it. Because there's somebody sitting in office who is set out to consistently ostracize us from all resources and access to a seat at that table, to just give the opportunity. Then, if we ever do get that opportunity to come to the table, now I have to be overshadowed by someone who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You got somebody pontificating, guessing about what needs to go on, and I done already done the work. I done already done the research. All of the data is there, empirical as well as regular data. It's all there already. All the research has been done. What is it that we're doing wrong that says you all don't want to hear from us? And what is it that we're doing right that says, well, here, pass out these masks for us? You know what I mean? There was a gentleman from the mayor's staff that reached out to me on LinkedIn. When I went to the budget town hall meeting, I gave everybody in that staff one of my cards. I keep cards on me. I gave everybody in that room my staff. I talk to people that walk around with the mayor all the time. People that you see up with him, I go and talk to those people, because those are the people that get the things done. I've given all of these people my information. I'm accessible on social media. We have a website that's available. And this gentleman contacted me on LinkedIn. I never once given anybody my LinkedIn account. He linked and he said, yeah, the mayor wants you to be on one of these new boards. I didn't see the thing for 2 or 3 weeks because I don't check my LinkedIn like that. I finally come back. He never responds. Then finally says, oh, yeah, we'll reach out to you when we need you. That position has been filled. What a slap in the face. What a slap in the face. I've been waiting all of this time to be a part of this conversation. And you reach out to me through a medium that it isn't even my professional platform. You know what I mean? And it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating because it's just like, what is it that we've done behind the scenes? Who did we offend? We are sorry. Whatever it is, we sorry. Damn, we just want to help. Because if we don't help, the people who we're surrounded by continue to live in this state. Continue to live in this state of deprivation, of political isolation, of economic exclusionary tactics. It's frustrating, and once again, the reason that I reached out to you because I'm sounding the alarm. The alarm. I do not know what to do.
I'm trying to tell you what to do. Don't give up. Keep doing. Because listen to what I'm telling you, Doc. Tell everybody. I made December 1st D-Day. In the hood, it would be the day that since God then let me see what road to take, where to go to lay it, before they even are aware of it, I'm going to help you get what you got. What we doing is showing what you are saying, as opposed to me saying, here's someone who can do it. You find what I'm saying? It ain't doing nothing but adding the visual to the audio. You know what I mean? Okay, but do we have a proposal? Do we got a budget? Do we got metrics? How long has he been? 5 years, 20 years? 10? What's his educational level? Hey, if he was an octopus and had the tentacles, he can do what all those people that you got around you doing that's supposed to be gatekeepers and get it done. Listen to me. I want you to hear me clearly, and my viewing audience to hear me clearly. Playboy, we now know what to do. It ain't nothing but another suit.
That's right.
Because at the same time, David, what they don't know, I was your mentor, so I'm saying don't grow. Man, I have no problem with you
How many times have
being
I
a
had to
problem.
call you and tell you,
Man,
man, one of
every
my
time.
friends got murdered?
Man, amen.
One of my friends got murdered. I don't know how to deal with this. What
Amen.
am I supposed to do?
Amen.
It's just too much.
Amen. Just like when
It's just too much.
just like when the little sister got killed, they went to Barack Obama's inauguration
That's right. That's right.
at King. My son was going to King and knew her. You took it upon yourself because you was from that area, reached out to all your friends, come out that area, and we all got together and marched to make sure that them individuals got caught and apprehended. We engaged in straight community policing and then ask for permission.
That's right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What we do, we push the code. Senseless violence got to stop. Automatically talking about we got to stop the violence, but you ain't got no consequences for individuals before he make a violent move.
That's right.
Like I told you, I know how to get the meetings with Maxine Waters, with everyone else. I don't care what they say, because I put in the work. Okay? And what they are doing, they're making sure that they setting up young leadership that understand the most important thing. Listen to the elders that was there before you.
That's right. Because we are only here
Okay,
because we
here,
afforded the luxury of standing on y'all shoulders.
Right. Here, they got a problem with doing that in our community, man. So the thing becomes this. As young as you are, you now an elder because you got 25 plus years in what you do. You follow what I'm saying? So like I say, man, it ain't never over because you know who to reach out to when you put it out there for someone to hear. And amen. And I'm going to say this because I got about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
The name of the game, since no one seems to hear the beating of the drums, telegram, telephone, telenegro, and the word gonna get there. In that order, everybody say we gotta have a black agenda. The agenda is now a platform called Lift Every Voice.
Mm-hmm.
When Biden came out and gave his first speech, he didn't say minorities, African Americans. You helped me. I'll never forget it. I won't let you down. That's an individual that know he got to be about his word. He got to be accountable. While they wait until January the 20th to start his accountability move, well, if he ain't did what he said he gonna do in 100 years, he ain't accountable. He gonna have it. Hey man, all I can tell you is young brothers that's your age across this country that's in position got understanding, man. Young guys and young women, man. The young sister, the reason Georgia was flipped blue, in my opinion, is by the grace of God and through the vision of Lewis and all those came before him, and he groomed her because he knew he was sick. To be the one to take his spot because he knew God blessed him to know his time, man. When he took that picture before he went to the hospital, when he stood on that Black Lives Matter plaza,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tell the young adults that he was a young adult and brought about change, and he can go because he see where it has came to where it is, and this is where it is now. So all those that feel like they was blocking you, understand this. They were young adults that was groomed to block.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So all that's over. Hey, man, you got a lot of suits because you a dapper Dan like me. You know what I mean? So you know how to wear it. You know what I mean? And you got it. And hey, giving you my word. And you know what I do. You know, I ain't got no. Everybody be asking, man, how can Gator keep moving what he doing, man? He got to get something, and they ain't giving me nothing. But God is my sustainer. Somehow or another, I end up with the exact money I got to have for rent, not a dime over. Cable bill come, the exact money I got to have for cable. You follow what I'm saying? Okay? So I'm saying this here, man. First of all, I want you to hear me and know me like you did. We reached, we talked. I'm glad you took the time to come on to your show because we in the age of Zoom, man. And like I say, what I don't know, I call you and learn from you. You follow what I'm saying? So you got me. When it become the YouTube piece, through our social media piece, shoot it out there. I'm gonna show you. You already know. You already know, because you're doing it. You already know, because I called you. Hey, they said, man, how do I get this person to understand where I'm at? Well, Gator, do you have their email? You got to get on constant contact. Okay. Okay. All right. Just get their email. And man, is you on Facebook? They all do Facebook. Then Gator, you missing it, man. You can't market it on Facebook. So each one teach one what I'm saying. And with that, I want you to give the people your name and number. Dave, give them your name and number.
Name is David Peterson Jr. You can reach me through the website, PullmanPorterMuseum.com. Because when you go there, it ain't nothing else to talk about. Our work is there to speak for itself.
Right.
If you want to talk to me, you talk to my agent, Wallace Gator Bradley.
Right. Hey, my number is 312-371-6914. That's
right.
724. You can wake me up on that. My wife, if I'm asleep, she elbowing me and said, answer that. I don't care who it is.
That's right.
So give them your phone number today, because we got to make it easy for them to get with you. Because when they get to going, they're going to be kicking your door in.
That's right. 773-850-8580. That's once again 773-850-8580.
Right. Because, hey, man, I'm here. Hey, man, this ain't no follow la 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 and deck the halls. I'm telling you, it's done. Now everybody know you the solution. You the man. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm a vessel.
Hey.
That's why this
you a man vessel. Hey, man.
I'm a vessel. I humble myself to bring forth this plan, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Right. Hey, man, that's why they can't destroy it. You know what I mean? Okay. Right. You blessed with God's mercy and grace, and he has put a hedge of protection around you, man. Same as me, man. You know what I mean? Hey, like I say, man, we know how to get the message out there and how to get it to them. It's a link. I ain't talking no LinkedIn. It's that little funny 8. You know what I mean? And hey, I'm with you. And with that, give that woman my love, honor, and respect. You know what I mean? And I want to say, with that, oh man, before I go, hey man, your little nephews, Leviticus is a insurance broker now, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And my other son, he got his master's degree. Right, man.
Everybody should have at least one or two of them. It's important.
That's right. So hey, if you got an insurance thing, and my other son, he got his master's. In Africa, my daughter got his master's, and my other son, Thomas. I'm just telling everybody this.
Listen,
it ain't
education
over, man.
Has always been
That's what it is,
you
man.
always made sure that was first and foremost the most important thing, and I appreciate that, because now I can stand at these tables and know I'm smarter than the people that are at that table trying to block me out.
Right. But it can't stop you,
Not
fam.
because I'm trying to be arrogant, because I've done the work to prepare to sit at that
Right,
table.
right. But the move is
Nobody
this.
put me at the table. We got there because we
Amen.
knew education was important.
But one of the most important things I want you to realize, you are the table.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
You follow what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
are the table.
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I'm telling you. You are the table.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I done seen the resources. I know, Doc. That's why I've been just in my lane. Just.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show tonight and kind of vent. This was therapeutic for me to be able to have this
No
conversation.
question.
I appreciate it. Helps with my mental health. It helps inspire me and keep me focused. And I appreciate it so much.
Right.
I thank the Creator for you.
Amen. You know what we do, because this ain't new. This 20 plus years, man. It ain't. Amen. And Joe, he ain't here. You know what I mean? This in the spirit and honor of him, because you have a lot of good mentors, man. I'm talking, and I know about that brother on 47th Street. So hey, without further ado, I want to say this to you and you and you. To God be the glory, and this is our story.
That's right.
And hey, whatever you do, stay washed up, covered up. Bow. Had that mask. Boy, ain't it funny, man? I go in the bank to try to cash the check, and they scared of me when I come in without a mask. But I used to be scared to go in the bank with a mask. So,
Only thing constant is change.
Right, man. Hey, man, I love you, Dave. Hey.
Thanks again, love too.
And that's the end of this show. To God be the glory. Thanks, man. Don't forget your mask, Doc.
Take care now. Peace and love.
All right.